Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Vessel and Voice podcast. I'm Kim Charlson, your host. And this week's episode is all about how to begin getting confirmation from your spirit guides on different questions or issues that you're facing in your life. Let's get into it. Today's episode is really all about confirmation. What is confirmation? How do we get it? How can spirit guides provide that? And what steps can you start taking to get confirmation in your life? Confirmation is one of my favorite tools to use when we begin working with spirit guides because it's, first off, a really easy way to prove that your spirit guides exist and that they are there and that they're listening and ready to collaborate, as well as it can be a way for you to start to get guidance while you're working on your energetic skills. Before we get into today's episode, I want to remind you that we're in the eclipse portal that I talked about in the previous episode. So this is a really transformational time, and it's an important period to begin working on your spiritual practices because we have the North Node in Pisces, which means that we are working towards Piscean energy, just all about spiritual practices. Channeling has really transformed my life even before I knew how to channel like I do now. Using confirmation practices was one of the first things that I did to really help me feel more confident in my spiritual practices and to start connecting with the non-physical world. So I'm really excited to bring this episode to you today, but also want to remind you that we have our 20% off sale, our Spirit Guidance for Beginners course. If you want to get started connecting with your spirit guides in a more direct manner and learn how to use your energy in a way that allows you to connect with higher vibrational beings so you can get more than just confirmation. Use code SPIRIT20 at checkout for the course at just $88.80 through March 31st. When you first start working with your spirit guides, you probably want to ask them questions like, should I do this thing? Or is this thing the right thing for me? Or should I be making this choice? But you don't know how to ask them those questions. That's where most people start, is they want to ask questions, they want to get some guidance, but they don't know how to connect. There is a very easy way to do it, and it's through a process called getting confirmation from your spirit guides. Confirmation is when your spirit guides send you a particular sign. So not just a sign that you get that you say, wow, it must be a sign I have to do this thing. It is a particular sign that you are asking for within a certain time frame that they will manifest into physical reality to confirm the thing that you're asking about. It's always a statement that they are confirming the validity, the truth of through the sign. It's important that you understand how to construct your request for confirmation and then how to watch for confirmation. First off, what is your request for confirmation? Say you want to know if you should take a new job in particular. It's important that you construct the thing that they are confirming in a way that is very clear. Otherwise, you could be confirming something that is unclear, that leaves you kind of open-ended, that you don't know what they really mean, or that you start to question later. It's important to say things like, will this job help me get X? You can ask a very open-ended, broad question like, is taking this new job for my highest good? And they could confirm that. And it could be a really difficult, painful experience, but it makes you go through a spiritual transformation, but is for your highest good, but not in the way you thought about it. That's why we want to construct those confirmations really specifically so we can get clear guidance. Instead of very broad statements, we want to get more granular. In particular, if you want to take a new job, you want to think about, why do you want this new job? What is it that you want to get out of this job? And then you can ask that question in particular, such as, will this job give me more financial freedom in my life? That's the question that you want to ask. The statement that you're going to confirm, yes or no, is, this job will give me more financial freedom in my life. And ask them to confirm that statement. We always want it in a statement rather than a question format because we want them to confirm the validity of that statement, rather than leaving it as an open-ended question. That's kind of the difference between when you have a direct connection with your spirit guides and you can sense them and you can start to be able to have a conversation with them or sense their presence, then you can ask questions. But when we're doing confirmations, we really want to take statements so it's very clear about what we're confirming and it's not open-ended. Now that we've constructed our statement, we want to say how we want to get confirmation. And it's always going to be a particular sign that you are choosing. It can be something really simple, like an animal. My favorite is a giraffe that I've talked about in a previous episode. You can use a specific angel number that you want to see. You want to make it small. You want to make it easy for them to manifest. And you want to make it so that way it's easy for you to notice It's not something that's up in your awareness on a normal basis. So that way, when it's different, you know that it's there. That's personally why I like to use giraffes. I don't see a lot of giraffes that often. It's not an emoji that people use very often in life. So if I see a giraffe, I know very clearly it's a confirmation of what I've asked to confirm. I still use confirmation, even though I can talk directly with my spirit guides. Sometimes I just need that physical manifestation reassurance just as much as other people do. So it could be that maybe I'm scrolling social media and I see a picture of a giraffe. That would count as one occurrence. Maybe I'm having a conversation with somebody and they mention something about giraffes, or I go to somebody's house and they're babysitting and their friend's kid that they're babysitting has a giraffe stuffed toy. It can show up in lots of different ways and across lots of different mediums. So you want to stay open to how it shows up. After you've chosen the sign, you want to specifically state how many times you want to see it and the time frame that you want to see it in. Personally, I used to have a lot of doubt before I really got into channeling, and when I started my spiritual journey, I wanted to see it more than once because it felt like once could be a fluke. But if you see a bunch of giraffes in a very short time period, well, that must mean it's actually legit. So for me, I always asked to see a sign 3 times within 5 days. So it gave him enough time that, like, one day I didn't see it. Okay, well, that still gives him tomorrow. That felt like a good cadence for me. So if you are really trusting and you really understand your spirit guides are there, you can say, I only need to see it once within the next 24 hours. I believe in you guys. You can do it. You can set whatever you want. But for beginners, I really recommend doing 5 times over 3 days because then that gets you into the routine of kind of watching for signs. But also, it's hard for a sign to show up multiple times within that 5-day window. And you will probably find that the signs will come a lot faster than that 5-day window. It usually doesn't take them the full 5 days. You can use confirmation for pretty much anything as long as it's a statement that's constructed in a specific way, that's not too open-ended, that's really particular about what you're asking for. So you can ask it about really mundane things like, will this new supplement help me reach my particular goals for my fitness? I've done that before. Or it could be as big as big career shifts, relationship shifts, anything that you want, you can ask for the different confirmation. And once you get the sign, you don't have to follow it. You are still in control. It is still your life, and your spirit guides still want you to make your own decision. Even if it's in disagreement with them, they want you to feel empowered. So when you're asking for confirmation, the purpose of it is to make you feel more confident in your choice and to give you more information, not to make the choice for you. So that's an important aspect of why sometimes you won't get confirmation. So we're going to go to Monty now and hear what he has to say about the spirit perspective on confirmation and how it works on their end, and why sometimes you might not actually get confirmation even though you feel you probably should have. We are delighted to share the spirit perspective on how confirmation from your spirit guides can be beneficial to you and how to begin the process of directly collaborating with your spirit team. As Kimberly has shared in the beginning of her recommendations, we would like to add a few recommendations from our side of the spirit perspective to allow you to begin to understand what we are capable of when we are providing confirmation, and why we will provide confirmation as why we will not. When you are requesting confirmation, it is always understanding that you are facing a particular choice about an action that you are going to choose one way or another, a decision on which path you will be taking forward. From our perspective, from a spirit guide position, we want you to be able to make an informed choice and take ownership of the decision that you are making, regardless of what the outcome is. While we can see the potentiality of certain results and whether or not they will work out often in the way that you would like them to, it is important to understand that we want you in every single instance to take full ownership of the decision that you are making, and understand that even though you may be receiving confirmation from us, it is ultimately you who are the one that is making the decision, and you who are the one who will continue to tread down that path. From our perspective, energetically, when we are looking at whether or not we are confirming a particular decision in a particular path forward, we see in front of you your energy of which direction it could go, where it splits at the decision that you are about to make. We look energetically down each one of these paths to see what the potential results may be based off of the energy behind the decision. It is not actually the decision that is important, but the energy of the decision that you are making. Now, when it comes to whether or not we are able to always predict outcomes, the unfortunate reality is we can only look at the potentiality of certain obstacles and certain choices and certain results as you are moving forward, because we are tied energetically, we are tied to your path. It is important to understand that we are always from a higher perspective, but along your path, as we have decided to collaborate with you over a long period of time. And so our energy is tied to your energy. In the instance where you are looking at particular outcomes, sometimes we are able to see the intersection of other individuals' energetic paths and whether or not those paths will coincide and collaborate, or whether they will bifurcate and not meet up. When you are asking for certain types of decisions, what you are asking for us to actually look at is the intersections of the different energy relationships as the paths converge between different individuals. Sometimes another individual's path is very firm and very solid and highly probable, and so therefore we can say with greater confidence that this particular outcome is more likely to arise, and so we can make that confirmation based off of that particular result. However, still understanding that you must always take ownership of your particular choices as they arise. However, when an individual is not very determined, not very set in their path outside of your path, and you're asking us to look at the eventualities of whether or not these paths will coincide, collaborate, etc., we cannot always see this, and so therefore we cannot always make an accurate prediction, as the future forward-looking energy is always a prediction. It is never set in stone because of free will. Free will allows everyone to choose and pick where their energy goes. Overwhelmingly, sometimes we cannot see how another individual is of the highest probability to act, and therefore we cannot provide a confirmation because we do not know. We cannot see from our perspective. It very well could be that another being at another higher perspective that is less tied to your particular perspective may be able to provide the insight or perspective that you need to make this decision in an informed manner. However, sometimes spirit guides are too close, we will say, to your energy to be able to have that higher, broader perspective. This is when sometimes working with spirit guides may be insufficient if you are trying to get information from a non-physical source that will help you make a decision. Other times that we may not provide confirmation is because we see that your energy is not taking ownership of the decision, as we have previously spoken about. It is important to understand that when we see that your energy is merely asking to be told what to do and that you do not wish to take ownership, this is counterproductive to the goals that you have in this particular incarnation. In this incarnation, you have come forward into physical manifestation with the goal of taking ownership of your decisions, of taking ownership of your actions. Now, this is not to say that bad things won't happen to you, because there are the other people and other people's free will involved in decisions. However, it is saying merely that you are taking ownership. And sometimes when you are asking for confirmation, you are asking because you do not want to take ownership of that situation. You do not want us to allow you to make your own decision because you say you do not know what to do, but truly you do know what to do. And it is really coming from the perspective of that you are not taking ownership of that perspective that you already have within you because of fear, because of lack of acknowledging it, or of other reasons. It is important to understand that sometimes no confirmation is because we want you to be making that choice for yourself. And it is important for your spiritual work to take ownership of your decisions and understand that aspect. So, in the instances where we do not provide confirmation, you can ask for clarification. If you are unsure, you can ask for confirmation a second time to confirm that we do not know because we are unable to see the prediction that you are asking for. Or You can ask alternatively for a confirmation that you are not taking ownership or you are not exercising your own free will in a way that will help your spiritual growth and evolution. Both of these confirmations can help you determine the reason why a spirit guide is unable to provide confirmation for you. You can always ask us to confirm other aspects as well, to shed increasing light on the situation that you are asking about. It need not just be one confirmation of some grandiose decision that you are making. Instead, you can ask for smaller, more minute portions to understand different aspects. Often, humans will ask their spirit guide counterparts, should I take this action? When they really should be asking questions such as, what is something I need to know in this situation about? Can you confirm my suspicions? That may be more beneficial to you to give you the information that you truly need to be able to make the decisions that you are trying to reach. So you can be making decisions from a position of self-empowerment rather than one where you are taking away your own power and attempting to give it to your spirit guides. Now, there is the concept of surrender and working with your spirit guides in a state of surrender. Sometimes you may have chosen in this particular iteration to allow yourself to surrender to the will of what is a higher perspective. And that may be that you are initially working with your spirit guides as they have your highest good and intentions in their energy, and then allowing yourself to surrender to even higher and higher sources as you develop that level of trust. This is a bit more rare, and not all humans are on this particular pathway. You can ask your spirit guides for confirmation if this is something in your particular pathway in this particular lifetime. Always remember, you can ask more questions. Only ask one question at a time until you have received confirmation or the deadline has passed. Then move on to the next question. If you are unclear in confirmation, it is important to understand that you can ask the same question again and ask for clarity upon it. Now, there are restrictions in what your spirit teams are capable of doing when it comes to confirmation. As has been said before in a previous episode, you must give us the opportunity to provide confirmation for you. If you are asking for a particular sign but do not provide the opportunities for us to get that to you, it does not mean that we are not confirming it. It simply means you have not provided us the ability, the situation in which we can do that. So you can connect directly with us to be able to have more clarity. The more that you can directly interface with your spirit team through meditation, through energy work, the more easily you will be able to get information. As for us to bring our energy down into the physical, to be able to work with things in physical manifestation is much more difficult and requires more energy. Sometimes we are unable to provide confirmation because the situation is such that we cannot bring our energy down to the level in the appropriate time period because of the energetic conditions that you are in right now. It is always best if you are able to collaborate directly with your spirit team rather than asking for signs in physical manifestation, as this will allow you not only to be able to ask more questions during a single session, but be able to allow yourself to have conversations with us, to get feedback, to be able to have a relationship that goes much deeper than seeing something in physical manifestation that gives you a heightened sense of feeling. There is nothing else that we wish to add, but again, if you have questions about how to begin to collaborate with your spirit guides, please send them to us. We would be delighted to answer them for you. That is all. I'm glad that Monty shared in his perspective why sometimes we don't get confirmation, because there have been times where I have asked for confirmation and then didn't receive it and was kind of frustrated by that. And upon reflection, it's because I was too scared to make the choice that I knew that I should make. That was more difficult for me, that was going to make people unhappy with me, but that I knew deep down was actually the right choice for me. In those times where I haven't received confirmation, almost every single case it was like that. There were a couple cases where it wasn't, but most of the time it was because they wanted me to make my own choice and to recognize that I was my own source of authority and that I needed to rely on that more deeply. And that's a big theme of my life for me, of despite being a channeler, despite having this really strong connection with Monty of making sure that I make my own decisions and that I am not looking for external validation of my own inner knowing. And that's been a process. So trust that sometimes when you don't get confirmation, that's what it's really about. And your spirit guides are wanting you to go through that growth process of understanding how to trust yourself a little bit more. If you've never used this process before, what I would love you to do is the very first time that you do it, ask your spirit guides to confirm that your spirit guides are there in supporting you as your confirmation statement. Because if you've never done it before, it can be pretty amazing to see how much their confirmation can come forward if you're open to it. And if you ask for them to show and demonstrate that they are capable of doing that for you. It's a really beautiful process. So give it a try. Ask your spirit guides to confirm the statement that they're there and they're here to support you when you need them. And ask for one particular sign over the next 5 days and see what you get. We'll see you in the next episode. As a last reminder, don't forget about the Spirit Guidance for Beginners sale because the price will be going up on April 1st. So if you want to get started, be sure to grab it. And otherwise, we will see you in the next episode. Thanks for joining us.